We're going to start today with some perennial raspberries. The first thing you need before you start working on any project is the right tools. For raspberries and other canes, having a good sharp pair of hand pruners is very important. If you have thorned plants like these raspberries, a good pair of work gloves like these leather gloves. And then finally, having some sanitizer like this bleach water solution that I've made myself is really important. Sanitizing all your tools just by taking your pruners and dipping them in the water is a great way to ensure that any kind of disease that might be on your plant is not moved from plant to plant for cut to cut. This is particularly important in a lot of our perennials, right? So our fruiting plants, our trees, because these plants are going to be here year after year, making sure that we're not spreading disease through our pruners is extra important. So I started by sanitizing my pruners. The next thing I'm going to do is start by just removing the canes that have fruited. Raspberries fruit on second year growth. So that means that any canes like this one that are spent, they have some dead leaves in the front. I want to go ahead and start by just removing those to give space for the first year canes to continue growing next year. So I'm going to identify my cane, right? It's got some dead branches and you can see where the fruits were on the edge of this. So I can see kind of where the dead fruit buds were. And I'm going to follow my cane all the way back to the ground and I'm going to make a snip at the base. So this cane has now been removed. Here's a nice close-up of our our dead fruit structure. Then, before I do any other cuts, I'm going to go ahead and sanitize my pruners and start looking for the next cane. My goal here is first to remove all of the canes that are no longer productive, and that's going to start just to open up my thicket behind me. From there, I want to start looking for plants that maybe are growing out of bounds. Raspberries are pretty prolific spreaders. So I'm going to second go back through after I've removed all of my spent canes and start to think about which plants are growing in places that I don't want them. It's an opportunity to dig them up and either give them to friends or transplant them back into my berry area. The end result of pruning a raspberry patch leaves something that looks rather sparse. Once the canes that have borne fruit have been removed, and then the canes that are out of bounds have been removed, the final step is thinning the canes out until you have one cane every 18 to 24 inches. Your patch will look rather sparse, but this will give an opportunity for the plants to work their root system magic and spread out in those bare areas, creating first year growth that will fruit in 2 years, and then the standing first year growth from this year will fruit next year. By working hard to thin out and remove fruiting structures, you can guarantee that you will have a perennially productive raspberry patch.